Welcome to Veterans News and Special Reports. I'm Professor Rick Ballou, PhD in Surviving the VA. This episode is the corruption of the veterans system in America. Podcast episode 4. Part 1 is so long that we had to break it up to 2 different episodes. I apologize if people were looking forward to the 1970s, but that will be in the next episode 5. Today we're talking about the Veterans Administration from 1970 to 1980. They did a lot of things. They corrupted the system. They made it so you could not get a disability if it was hanging off your ear. True. Very true. You'll see in episode 5 the reasoning they did what they did. Now, in episode 4, we discuss things like the regional office, how they got control, how they kept control, and using the different people that work at the Veterans Administration. I like to call them Dr. Schultz. And at the regional office, DRS Schultz. Now, the reason why I did it is from a TV show, Hogan's Heroes. Now, what I'm doing to accept this podcast is to discuss issues the Vietnam veterans went through, which affects you veterans today. So, if you're interested, you can email me at Ballou, B-A-L-L-O-U, 1947 at AOL.com. I would like to get live broadcasts set up. I would like to talk to other veterans and their families. What happened to me? In this podcast 4, I explained to you how I was injured in Vietnam. Then when I was working for the American Embassy in London as a part of their security. I was injured because a conveyor belt hit me in the back. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. I got out of the hospital, and 24 hours later, I was going home. Now, the other part of the scenario is benefits. In Vietnam, I received migraine headaches from PTSD. Now, here's the trick that the VA does. You have 5 different symptoms of PTSD. Shakes is 1. You have migraine headaches. That's 2. Flashbacks, 3. You have nightmares, 4. And the problem with loud noises, that's 5. Now, the VA, in its wisdom, is corruption, and all the other things they do, they pick something. Oh, you got a migraine headache. Well, okay, we'll give you service connection for migraine headaches. They don't say why you got the migraine headaches. They don't do anything but x-ray your head over and over and over again. Can they find PTSD in an x-ray? Hell no. I mean, really, seriously, you cannot find PTSD with an x-ray. Not even with a ray gun could you find PTSD. Now, so what would they do with migraine headaches? They allow you a 50% service connection. If you have migraine headaches for the next 40 years, you still get 50%. They tell you you can increase it, but that's not right. That's not true. They won't give you PTSD. Why? Because 50% is half of what you're entitled to. Same thing for other injuries. They find other injuries and say, oh, you broke your fingernail when you fell off that roof. Oh, okay, we'll give you service connection for that fingernail being broke. Not your finger, but the fingernail. Oh, well, that's only good for 15%. You see how it works? Now, in the system, I showed you X-rays, MRIs that I got outside the VA, away from the VA. As soon as they found out I was a veteran, I had a stink on me, and they didn't want nothing more to do with me. So I can't go back to that hospital. Why? Because they know I'm a veteran. They tell me go back to the VA, and the VA looks for the fingernail. You know what I mean? So during the years, they would wonder if you're taking heroin or any hard drugs. Back in the 70s, the veterans from Vietnam had to go and get blood tests every 2 to 3 weeks. Why? Well, that was for the migraine headaches. They only give you enough prescription to last you 2, maybe 3 weeks. So you'd have to make an appointment, go back to the VA, 8 o'clock in the morning, and leave there at 5 o'clock. Why? Because you run a complete gambit of your migraine headaches. After you do that, you get your prescription. You have to wait an hour, 2 hours, so you're out of there by 7 o'clock. My, what does it do to work? Oh, your boss sits there and goes, oh, he's missing again, right? And then you get fired. Now, I was a mechanical engineer during the 70s, and I bought a house. I was doing good. I had my migraine headaches. I was still going to the VA. I was doing what I was supposed to do. If you don't go, they knock your disability. Bang, you're gone. But in 1983, I got a letter from the Veterans Administration telling me that my 12-year-old son was dead. And they wanted to know how long has he been dead and how come I've been receiving payments for a dead son. I'm sitting there looking at it, and it also mentioned my son was Hispanic. Do I look Hispanic to anybody out there in the audience? No. So, my son was not Hispanic. He was 12 years old, but he was redhead and Irish. But they cut my disability off within a week. So, they cut all of my disability off. They took all of it. They didn't just take his, they took all of it. Why? They wanted me to pay back a couple of years that this kid was dead. How did they know my son died 2 years ago? Huh? So, I looked at my son across the dinner table and showed him a piece of paper and said, the Veterans Administration said you're dead. His comment was, Dad, do I have to do my homework and go to school tomorrow? Because I'm dead. Didn't work. But his teacher called me and said he refused to do any work because the VA said he was dead. That took me 6 months to prove my son was still alive. 6 months. I lost everything. I lost my house. I lost my job. I had to continually go to the VA and spend hours upon hours upon hours arguing with them that David was not dead. So, that was part of the treatment veterans get in the 1970s. We were treated as baby killers, war criminals, and you'll see in the next episode why we were called war criminals and baby killers. It's one of the things that's going to surprise you. But the person that did it was a member of the Forbes family. Now, the Forbes family started the Vietnam War by helping the CIA and President Johnson to set up the Tonkin Gulf incident. Mr. Forbes was in the American Embassy and helped get the 6 gunboats painted and equipped exactly like the North Vietnamese torpedo boats. So, without further ado, let's end this broadcast as you see what I've been talking about, and it gives you a little idea of what is happening. If you ever want information or you want proof, give me an email. All right. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.